Hunter was singled out because he broke the law. He was singled out because he had an illegal gun and tax evasion charges, not because he was the president's son. And I just want Democrats to stop acting like they are on this moral high ground politically when they have shown us they're not. You know, whether it's skipping the primary process when Biden stepped down and things like Biden pardoning his son. Stop acting like y'all the pure party and Republicans aren't. And it also shows me elected officials can do whatever they want as long as they have the political will and courage to do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here's the thing. I used to be a big fan of Charlemagne. Like, I was a huge fan. Why? I really don't know. I have the slightest idea. I used to watch The Breakfast Club like every morning back in 2020, 2021. But after a while, I started to just notice it was so left-leaning. A lot of the points didn't make sense. So I stopped watching it. I just thought they were obnoxious. They didn't really understand all black people. And that show definitely does not speak for all black people. I'm your host, Kwa. And in today's video, we got a couple things to talk about. Number one being that they said that tariffs don't work. But they actually do. Also got to talk about Biden pardoning his son. There's some pretty interesting takes on those things, and I want to kind of bring my reaction to it. And we also got to talk about President Trump swinging around his big stick, letting the world know that, you know, it's time to cut out all the BS when it comes to America. And in my opinion, you know what? Let's just get into the video and we're gonna see what's been going on. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, so a couple days back on 11/25, Donald Trump posted this on Truth Social. I'm not gonna read it. I'm just gonna leave it on the screen. But so he posted that, you know, they say tariffs don't work. But a little while after Mexico got in line, and then that brings us to the first part of this video, which is what happened with Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. But I'm gonna show you this quick little picture that I thought was, it was just boss. I guess the only word I can say. And this is the guy I would like to stand behind, or this is the kind of leader. However, most people feel about it. Like, you can't deny that if you're on, even in wartime or anything like that, this is the guy that you want to be running things, or you can trust him with basically making sure the country is gonna be okay. But this picture here, you see that? That's Trump standing on a Canadian mountain with the Canadian flag, and it says, "Oh, Canada." Why is that funny, or why is that super cool? If you haven't heard the news already, I'm just going to play this clip for you, and then we'll just get into it after.
12 minutes after the hour, another big story is the president-elect and the things that he's already talking about doing when he takes over. One, if you guys don't seal up your border in the north and seal up your border in the south, Mexico and Canada, 25% tariffs. And China, if you don't clean up the fentanyl situation, 10% on anything coming into our country. So right away, there was a call from Trudeau, and then there was a visit. And he went down, he goes, let's just work this out. At which time, I think they were very blunt to each other. Yeah. And it looks as though in a standoff, he said, you got to fix your border. We got tens of thousands coming in. It's a lot less of a problem than the north, than the south. But there's a huge problem because you're not putting any assets there. The other issues is the drugs that come through to the governor of New Hampshire. But then when they started talking, he said, you can't put 25% tariffs on us. It will destroy my country, he said.
Right. And Fox News has spoken to two people who were at that table with Trudeau and the president. And the president was very direct about what he wants. He said Canada is letting in drugs and people from 70 different countries. And then here's a quote. that you'll find at foxnews.com. The president-elect told the prime minister if Canada cannot fix the border issues and trade deficit, he will levy a 25% tariff on all Canadian goods on day one when he returns to office. And Trudeau, there was a little laughter there, then Trudeau told him he can't levy the tariff because it would kill the Canadian economy completely. And Trump replied, asking, so your country can't survive unless it's ripping off the U.S. to the tune of $100 billion. And then Trump suggested to Trudeau that Canada become the 51st state, which caused the prime minister and others to laugh nervously. Also,
like, come on. You cannot tell me that. I mean, that's funny, but at the same time, it's kind of scary for the person on the other side. We'll make you the 51st country of the United States. Like, come, like, you cannot sit up here and say that wasn't awesome or whatever you want to call it. But come on, if you can't survive without ripping us off, we're gonna just make you the 51st state of America. Like, amazing. I'm here for it. The guy isn't even in office yet, and here he is sitting down with world leaders. The idea of it is already, people are already getting in line, and I love it. But let's continue.
reportedly, one person at the table said, well, Mr. President, that would be a very liberal state if Canada became a state. And then Trump said something like, well, there could be a liberal state and a conservative state. But nonetheless, he made it very clear. This is what he wants to happen. And, you know, as we reported yesterday, stuff is happening. They're adding more resources to our northern border.
So this totally happened. I mean, just
absolutely
listening to this.
So that's what the threat of tariffs doing. He doesn't really want to put tariffs on anything, but the threat of the tariff, and no, he will do it though. He will 100% do it, but knowing that there's a chance to get tariffs put on your goods and all products, that alone is enough to bring people to the table and to discuss real decisions on the world stage.
Exchange, the president-elect totally told them this. If you cannot get your affairs in order, if you cannot guarantee, do your part, this is part of your border as well. If you can't guarantee the safety of our people and your people, then we're going to put a tariff on you. Yeah. And I don't care if it tanks your economy. Do the right thing, or this is what I'm going to do.
I love just the show of strength already that we're seeing across the globe. You have Donald Trump saying, tariff on you, Mexico. The Mexico president immediately does something about it, puts something on social media, not going to let him get to the border. Then Justin Trudeau flies down to Mar-a-Lago unexpectedly. They have dinner, they're laughing, and then Donald Trump says, well, you want to fix it? Fix your border, or I'm slapping tariffs. What? That's going to ruin our economy. That's going to kill Canada. Well, then become the 51st state. I'll make you the governor. Right. Then you have the president now telling Israel or telling Hamas, release those hostages. If not, this is what's going to happen on January 20th.
Hell to pay.
Right. Yeah. I just wonder, number one, they got to put assets immediately on the border. They're going to start fixing it. But how does that fit into with the USMCA? Because I thought the USMCA, are they violating it? That's what I'm not clear on. Or does the USMCA need to be revisited? Because that's supposed to affect NAFTA. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I thought the Chinese were getting around it by saying, oh, Mexico gets a break? I have an idea. Mm-hmm. We're going to buy a Mexican company, and we're going to build our cars and our stuff in Mexico, get that American discount. So there needs to be some criteria put there.
I think, as we described it last week, I think the suggestion that there's going to be these gigantic tariffs, which would screw up everybody's economy, are a negotiating ploy. And so ultimately there probably will be a new deal between the big three countries in the northern western hemisphere. I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
Tariffs do work. It's a negotiating tool. It's used to, again, bring people to the table. And let's talk about it. Either fix this or we're going to hit you with this tariff. I'm for it. But let's get over to the next part of the video. So even after Biden said a bunch of times that he wasn't going to pardon his son, he did. And here's my thing. I would have pardoned my son too. I mean, if I'm the president, he's never going to be president again, and he's never going to have the power to pardon somebody. If I was the president and I said I wasn't going to pardon my son, I would want people to believe that I was telling a lie. So he should have never said it. But let's get right into the video.
So Charlemagne the God made news, maybe for the first time outside his very successful show. I thought when he was interviewing Joe Biden and he said, you know, if you don't vote, he asked him a tough question. Biden didn't like it. And he said, well, you know what? If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Mm-hmm. He's like, and you saw him take a double excuse.
All black people at that point should have never wanted to vote for him ever again. Just saying, but it's okay for you to say, well, if you're a conservative, you can't say things like that. But you got this white Democrat president who said it, and it's okay, but as long as it ain't Republican.
It's me? Yeah, Joe Biden when he was vice president. So since that time, he made it clear, too, that he wasn't going to vote for Joe Biden this time. And then Kamala Harris, who they've been friends with when she was a DA or Attorney General out in Florida, California. When she went in, he went all in. Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. He also expressed chagrin when he saw Joe Biden, who he knows went all in. Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. He also expressed chagrin when he saw Joe Biden, who he knows called Donald Trump Hitler and a fascist that would ruin the country and end all elections, shaking hands and explaining pleasantries in the White House. And now his surprise continues to grow. He's wondering, how sincere were you when you said that? And now he's wondering, too, after the pardon, do I have to rethink entirely the entire party?
Right, because Joe Biden was emphatic. He was not going to pardon Hunter Biden, his son. We all knew he was going to. Charlemagne knew he would, but nonetheless, he had a great soundbite yesterday, Charlemagne did, and we're going to play it for you, about how essentially Joe Biden has blown up his own party. Democrats can't say you're the ethical party anymore after what Joe did to all of us. Watch.
Hunter was singled out because he broke the law. He was singled out because he had an illegal gun and tax evasion charges, not because he was the president's son. And I just want Democrats to stop acting like they are on this moral high ground politically when they have shown us they're not, whether it's skipping the primary process when Biden stepped down to things like Biden pardoning his son. Stop acting like y'all the pure party and Republicans aren't. And it also shows me elected officials can do whatever they want as long as they have the political will and courage to do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here's the thing. I used to be a big fan of Charlemagne. Like, I was a huge fan. Why? I really don't know. I have the slightest idea. I used to watch The Breakfast Club like every morning back in 2020, 2021. But after a while, I started to just notice it was so left-leaning. A lot of the points didn't make sense. So I stopped watching it. I just thought they were obnoxious. They didn't really understand all black people. And that show definitely does not speak for all black people. I can't even watch it anymore. But good for him. I see that he's starting to make sense of things now. I call it the Trump effect. He is actually, when you actually look at the things in front of you, and then you use common sense to be the decoder. I'm on board with it. Good job, Charlemagne.
He was convinced he was going to pardon him because Joe Biden kept saying, obviously, over and over again, he's not going to pardon him.
I think the bottom line is that they ran an entire election based on norms, and that Donald Trump was going to destroy all type of norms. If you got him back in office, then democracy was at peril, and that he was going to overturn the Department of Justice. And to run your campaign on saving democracy and protecting the Department of Justice, and to now have the sitting president not only pardon his son from criminal activity that many people argue that he's linked to, but then to double down and say that the Department of Justice is a political arm as well, his Department of Justice. I mean, he's using Donald Trump's talking points after campaigning against Donald Trump's talking points. And I think that's what Charlemagne is pointing to. Now, don't get me wrong. Charlemagne is a progressive. He's going to be Team Democrat throughout the election. But Once the election is over or before the election, then you'll see him criticize the party and
I don't like that part. You know, you're gonna Democrat all in until the election's over with, and then you're gonna criticize them. You need to criticize while it's happening, because there's millions of people that watch the Breakfast Club, and you lead them the wrong way, buddy. Come on, like I'm not on board with that. I don't watch the show anymore, but
tell them things they need to check themselves on.
Well, I think what we heard from Democrats the entire election, one of the reasons I think Donald Trump did so well, is because they told us how much we should hate Donald Trump and what Donald Trump was.
There's millions of people that hate Donald Trump, but I don't care. With all this threat of like war and whatnot, that's nuclear. I want that guy to be leading the country, period. What's Biden's going to do? What is Kamala going to do? He's not even in there. And things are getting better on the world stage.
Saying was completely false, that the DOJ was not being weaponized for political reasons. And that how could you say that you're against women's bodies? No, women love women's bodies, men love women's bodies, but we also love babies, and many of those babies are in these women's bodies. So we were tired of being told, you're wrong, and that's what I think he means with the moral high ground. Y'all are so much, y'all are garbage, y'all are deplorables, y'all shop at Walmart, you don't understand what it's like to live in New York, what it's like to live in California. No, most people are proud of the fact that they don't love to live in New York or California. I think America got tired of hearing the Democrats and Oprah and all the people at the DNC telling us how much they hate Donald Trump. We heard Donald Trump's name probably just as much as Kamala's at the DNC.
Right, but to Charlamagne's point,
they actually counted during her DNC speech. Everybody for that whole night, they said Donald Trump name 355 times. This is the Democratic National Convention. You probably heard his name more than her name, but whatever.
He was talking about how Democrats have been talking about, we've got the moral high ground. We got it, until Joe screwed it all up. There's an op-ed in the New York Times today, of all places. Here's the last line of it, and it regards the 11th hour pardon of his son. The New York Times writes, what a degrading finale for Biden's feeble, forgettable, frequently foolish presidency. Well, that's the New York Times.
You know it has to be bad if the New York Times is going that hard. The New York Times, the Washington Post, it's all terrible outlets. It's just most of it's left-leaning, and you can tell that they work for the Democratic Party, but obviously not anymore. I mean, what Democrats out there that's gonna be able to save the party? I don't think there's any. Maybe there's some new hot shot that's gonna come up on the screen. Gavin Newsom, I don't know.
But here's the deal: they're still sticking with it. I was watching a clip of The View yesterday, and Alyssa Fair, who maybe she wants to be a Republican again, was criticizing the Democrats now and saying, "Look, he lied. Biden lied." Mm-hmm. And Whoopi looks at her in response to her and goes, "Be careful with that word lie." I mean, what? What are we supposed to call it?
He changed his mind.
Did he let's just be careful with this.
That is why I watch the Faulkner Focus.
Right,
Again,
smart.
Right. Mm-hmm. I'm going to just say I have something profound to say, and I think it's going to be really important, and I owe you. Here it is.
Yes.
For the longest time, everyone said, what's going to happen to the Republican Party when Donald Trump's gone? It's all about Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. And I think that the Republican Party said to themselves, at one point, you're right. Instead, the party has a bunch of people that want to continue what Donald Trump's doing. The real problem is the Democrats. Democrats, what are you going to do when your whole party is based on fighting Donald Trump? Mm-hmm. And you lose. Yeah. And you lose on ideas, and you lose with demographics, and you lose in the battleground states, and he gains in 49 of 50 states, even in urban areas. And everything that you've been saying has been disproven and unheard by the uneducated masses. So Democrats, ironically, will have a harder time getting over Trump than Republicans. And that's why I believe Other networks are trying to give Trump a chance because they tried not giving him a chance, and the only thing they lost was viewers.
Yeah.
The Democrat branch.
But it's gonna be really hard for the Democrats to actually win another election. I don't, for the foreseeable future, in my opinion, I don't see us having a Democratic president for at least the next 8 years. But I could be wrong. It remains to be seen. Maybe in 2026 or something, we'll see who comes on the scene. But if they don't, once Trump is out of there, they don't have anything to run on. And what a shame that will be. And conservatives will still be here. But I'm going to end the video there. If you enjoyed the content here today, please feel free to like the content, share the content. Most importantly, subscribe to the channel. It does help me out. Gets that YouTube algorithm running for me. But until next time, peace, love, and fish grease. I'll see you guys on the next video.